Welcome back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today, finding out a bit about the upcoming first annual Light Our Hearts Women's Rally. We have with us this morning Shakira Young, who is known as an activist after her son was killed in Belize City. Good morning, Shakira.
Morning.
Thank you for being here.
Welcome. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so let's just start off by finding out, I'm sure that every time you have these conversations, people have to bring back these memories that we can't imagine what it's like for you. But we have seen since the murder of your son that you made a promise, a very public promise, that you would use it as an opportunity to make good within different communities. What has it been like for you since the passing of Tyler?
Well, on a personal level, it's not something easy because he was my only child. So everything, my life basically surrounded around my son. Yeah. And so now I find myself not wanting to go out, not wanting to do anything other than stay home because I don't have a reason basically to be out and about again. But regardless of that, I still don't stay home and wallow in self-pity. And what I try to do is to use the time now that I have free to do positive with it. So from since November, late January, I had a little sports day with some kids from the northern portion of the city. And it was just a blessing. It was supposed to be 50 kids, but I had 70 out the day.
Oh,
Praise God. And it was very nice. I had plenty of assistance there from various people, and I just want to thank them once again for it. I did so on Facebook, but thank them again for that. The kids definitely enjoyed their day out. We had tacos and fruits for them. We had barbecue for them, and we had different sporting activities for the day. We had different little giveaways for them, just to encourage them and to motivate them for participating. And then at the end of the day, what we did was, I know that every time we have events and so forth, we like to give kids toys and stationaries, but what I did was to give it a little twist, and the monies used, what I did was to gather hampers, food hampers, because yes, we could send our children to school, we could give them the stationery, but can they eat it? Will they focus if their tummies are empty? So that's what we did. We went ahead and we packed the hampers, and then we ensured that, well, not each child, because some of them were 3-4 to a household. So what we did was group them by household, and then we ensured that we gave each household a little hamper, and it was a very hefty, I would believe, package, and I'm sure that they appreciated it.
Yeah, this experience is extremely fresh, so I'm sure that there are a lot of things that you've gone through outside of the passing of your son. But what would you say are some of the things that you've learned about yourself during this whole time?
I think the most important thing I learned is that how strong I really am. Because they have this saying, you don't know how strong you are until strong is being the only choice you have. That's what basically I am living. But with the grace of God, because I am a Christian, so I pray a lot, and I ensure I make time to give him his space, his time to work in my life. Sure. So with that being said, I think that is basically what is keeping me up.
It's amazing how resilient we can be.
Yeah. Now you have found others who have come out to support you, and you say we when you talk about the different initiatives. Who are the people that are working alongside you, and why are they drawn to this particular initiative?
Well, my people that I have, honestly, they're family members, and some of them are complete strangers, some of them are very good friends. But what I've learned along the way is that sometimes things happen to draw people to you, and I've met people just merely a month, 2 months ago, and it feels like I've known them forever because we share that relationship now that once they get to know me personally, they're like, oh my goodness, this is something I want to be a part of. So I have active people that is a part of the foundation now because I've had a foundation for him, and we work together closely. So if I'm going to have something, or we are planning something, I would plan. So I would go to the table, okay, this is what I have in mind, and I would share it with them. Would you like to be a part? And so they come out, and yes, they assist.
Now, in the process of delivering the news and the level of crime that we find, it is one of the most difficult things to hear loved ones speak in the midst of their grief about, questioning to the universe, why does this take place? Why my son? Why my daughter? Why my child? And it's gut-wrenching to listen to as somebody who hasn't experienced it. For you, when you hear and see these things, it definitely shows that you are not the only one to have experienced it. You'll all experience it differently. What do you hope through the work that you do will happen to help the healing process of others?
With what I have in mind, honestly, Marlene, I have different ventures to say, because I work closely with the kids. I love kids, and I think that with the 7 years that God has blessed me with my son, he taught me how to love. And that love now I am sharing. So when I do things with the kids, I look at it like I'm doing it with my own. So I don't treat them any different than how I would treat my own. And that is what I would say I admire about myself. When it comes down to the women now, it's something a bit more personal because I could more relate to them. So if somebody has lost one of their child or so, and they would come to me and they would say, you know what, Shakira, this is how I'm feeling. I could relate because I know what it is, and I do sometimes have days where I'm not able to even compose myself because I have moments that I would dream of my son and wake up. He's not there. It feels so real in the dream, and then when you wake up, that emptiness is there. So it's not something that goes away, and I know that personally, but all we could do at this point is to help each other. So having somebody to talk to and could relate to, it helps.
Okay.
This is the first women's rally, Light Our Hearts Women's Rally. What, other than the passing of your son, what inspired this kind of movement?
Honestly, this was something that I believe strongly it was a vision that came to me from God. But more importantly, from since Tyler passed, I took a break. After January, after I did the sports day, I was still going through a lot. Yeah. So I took a break and I said, you know what, I'm going to work on getting me together. And then I would come out and start to get active again. And one day the Lord just sent me to this specific place to have lunch. And I met this longtime friend of mine. And he approached me and he said, Shakira, what going on? You see, you don't do no follow-up. You don't do nothing, like from after the sports day, what happened? And I said, boy, you don't know how hard it is. And so he's saying, yes, I understand that it's hard. He said, but do you not understand that this is no longer something about you? This is something about what the Lord has placed you here to do. This is something that people are depending on you now to do. Yeah. And that it was there and then, after walking away from him, I said, Lord, you know why you sent me to this place. So upon driving back to work, it just rested on me. And then I decided, you know what? It's true. Why am I wallowing when I promised myself I wouldn't? And that's when it hit me that I should gather everybody that feels the same way like I do, and let us start healing, but healing in the way that is effective. Because we all could sit in front of a professional counselor and have them tell us everything about what they believe we're feeling, or we could tell them what we're feeling, but they will never be able to understand or relate. Versus you losing somebody, I losing somebody, we both know, what it feels like. So I didn't limit it and say the rally would be just based on women who have lost their kids to violence, because we have cancer right now that is a killer, and we also have diabetes because my mom is a diabetic. We have various different things, and with the traffic accidents happening now, you know, everything is happening so fast, and I just believe that we are in a warfare that many don't understand, because a lot of people would tell you, the Lent, the devil busy, but it's a warfare we're living in. And if you are not aware of it, trust me, it will devour you. So what this rally is about, it's a spiritual rally.
Yes.
So it's definitely to awaken something in us that has died, because something has died along the way, why we see it okay to kill somebody, or why we see it okay to witness somebody kill somebody and just walk away and don't care. So this rally is to spark something, because what I want to do is to plant that seed, because after that seed is planted, you just need to water it, and eventually it will grow into a beautiful tree and bear wonderful fruits, right? And there's a part of the scripture that has that speaks about in John about the vine. And Jesus is the vine, we're the branches, and we are going to bear beautiful and amazing fruits if we remain in Him. And so this is what I had in mind, to let us start bear our fruits.
Can I ask you, as a Christian, I can completely relate to, you know, going through spiritual journeys. Do you feel that your Christianity, your spirituality has been an anchor for you during this time?
If it has, there's no debate about that, because when Tyler passed, I was just merely stepping in to my Christian walk. And so I don't know if you're familiar with the book of Job, but that is where it speaks about Job and how God tested Job's faith by taking away his entire family. You imagine 10 of your kids being killed, one lick bomb, your house they burned down, everything that you own, and still Job remained faithful. So I definitely related myself to him, and I said, you know what, Lord, you are putting me through this. You allowed this to happen to my child for a reason. Because I had my doubting spells, because I had my moments where I cried and I asked him why, you know, and then after that I said, you know what, Shakira, you need to learn to start trust. And there's definitely a reason here why he allowed this, because we all know that there's plenty of kids out there, and there's plenty of people that have their kids and they don't really pay attention to the kids the way they're supposed to. Whereas now I am here with my only one. I treasure him so much, shelter him, and then it takes something like that to take my son away. Yeah. So I decided to not just look at it that way, and I simply said, Lord, I'm trusting you that you allowed this for a reason.
You know, I mean, I'm speechless, because I think one of the things that shines through in this conversation is your strength. And obviously through your faith, you're able to see beyond the grief that you experience. And while I'm very sure, and you've said it, articulated it so well, that you still carry the pain, you've decided to not just sit in that pain. And I think that is key. You decided to plan the Light Our Hearts Women's Rally. I can imagine, and there are countless women who've lost children for many different reasons, who would come out to this event. What do you hope would be the message or the overall goal that is met by having all these persons with so much hurt in their hearts come together and be a part of this rally?
All right, well, like the normal rally, we know that we would normally sit for 2 hours and have somebody talk to us. This rally is totally different.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've always been somebody bright, vibrant, and I went and think outside the box. Okay. I said, Lord, place on my heart what I need to do. And so I prayed about it, and I said, you know what? We always do candlelight visuals. Everybody does candlelight vigils. And I myself did one. And I said, I want something to be memorable, something to be different in our country. So instead of having significant people go up front and talk to these women, why not have these women talk to each other? So it's just to give a taste of the different backgrounds people come from.
Yeah.
And so what I decided to do was, within the rally, of course, we will have presentations. And the most amazing thing about this rally is that it's all spiritual. So each performer that will be there, they're Christians, and these are all motivation to the women. So every song that will be sing will be giving God thanks and praise, and every performer there will be there just to ensure that we're giving glory to God. And as a Christian, I know that whenever it's something for His glory, it always goes awesome. So I have over 10 presentations for that night from different people, and we've had churches from all over the city coming out with their praise team to participate in the rally. We also have an international choir that will be included in the rally, and that happened not by a mere coincidence but by a blessing. So we definitely have a night out for them. We have courts. They're donating items that will be available for raffle for the ladies.
Oh, nice.
And then I have my friend from Picasso Nails. She, Ashanti, she decided to give a couple certificates, and her another one of her co-partners from Belmopan, Miss Charmaine. What they've decided to do, however, is to put a little spin on it. Instead of giving the normal certificate to get your nails done, get your hair done, they've decided to come together and do a spa day for the ladies. So we will raffle this spa day. So we will have maybe about 10 or 15 spots available for them to go to the spa day. And sitting down the other day speaking to my partner with the foundation, he said, Shakira, I know that a lot of women, you guys go through a lot when you lose somebody, and I've seen it. And he said, why not attach that spa day to a gala for the women? And I said, oh my goodness, that's awesome. So what we've decided to do was to attach the spa day the day of the gala. So we're going to have a gala to get them all dressed up, get them going out, doing their hair, getting their nails done, and to just go out and have a nice evening. But
find the enjoyment in life again.
Yes, it takes a lot of preparation and it takes a lot of money. But I serve an awesome God, so I'm sure that finances will come. But back to the rally, for the night we have participation from different churches, and to add a little different taste to it also, at the beginning of it we will do a jump start. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's just to have them start to get to know each other, loosen up, get comfortable in the environment.
Like an icebreaker.
Yes, so we're going to have a jump start, an icebreaker at the beginning. We have a friend of mine, Miss Janicia, she's going to go in that night as a counselor. So she will share a few words that night. She's also a Christian counselor. So I believe that everything we are trying to do here is to plant that seed. So she's going to be there. We have different personals, but that night we have our guest speaker, who is Mr. Federico Lord. He is the pastor of Queen Street Baptist. That's the church that I fellowship. And I decided to not bring a woman in also because I think that getting a message from him would be very powerful. Because a church sister of mine said, you may not realize what you did, but Shakira, a lot of women get hurt by men. And it's a lot of men that is killing their children. And so it will be something different to get that word from a man. So that came in just in the nick of time, that I guess that was the reason why God assured me that, you know what, that was a good thing to do.
You definitely have a well thought out event. It takes place on what day?
It takes place on Saturday, and it will be 6 o'clock at the Memorial Park. But at the end of the rally, what I wanted to do was to, instead of releasing balloons and doing candles, I went ahead and I included the little wish lanterns, the Chinese sky lanterns. But based from conversations over the weekend on Facebook, we realized that it would be a fire hazard based on what happened in the Majestic area. So releasing these 200-300 little balls of fire in the sky is definitely a hazard. So I decided to just, I said I would have scrapped the lanterns because I didn't want it to cause a big fire. However, I prayed about it. And then I decided, you know what about not letting the lanterns go? So I've decided to turn these lanterns into kites.
Okay.
So
and you let them soar in the
yes,
sky.
until they burn out, and then they could when they come down, then the person could fold it up and take it home as a memory. So the fellowship session after the guest speaker would be for them to decorate the lanterns. So we will take out markers and we invite everybody to go out who is going out, take out markers, take out the little paints.
Yeah.
And if you have a picture of your loved one that you would like to attach to the lantern, then do so as well. It will be something that they will have to personalize, of course, but it will be more meaningful to them.
Okay.
So they could take it out, we will raise the lanterns, and then thereafter we will let them burn out and then come down, and they choose to do what they want with it.
That's beautiful.
Well, I think you have definitely stayed true to your word. You made that commitment very early on, and while you may not know, and probably been told by a couple of people how much you are helping others, I'm sure you have completely underestimated how important it is to others. So we hope other women who are hurting, who are struggling with overcoming their grief, will reach out and participate in this event, and that you're right, that a movement can start, that from the pain can come action and commitment together.
And healing.
Yes,
Yeah.
but what we wanted to ensure that we put out there also is that one, I've been told by a friend of mine that it seems as if it's a women's rally, it's a women's movement.
Okay.
It's not. The reason why I targeted women was because women, we're the backbones of the family. And if you have the woman learning about God, knowing Jesus Christ, then we know then that woman would feel the need to take her child to church so that child could get to know God as well. Going home excited, seeing your wife and your child going to church, would you not as a man want to know what is taking your child and your wife's time? So that is the reason why I decided to target the women also. But due to the outpour of violence over the past weekend, I've decided to let it be an open event.
Okay.
So the males, if they want to come out, they could come out as well. We will have t-shirts on sale. The shirts are coming from Go Graphics, so if anybody would be interested in purchasing these shirts, they could go ahead and call Miss Francine over at Go Graphics. If they're not able to afford a shirt, which is $12 for the adults and $12 for the kids, she also does the printing. So if you have your own shirt, you're not able to afford the $20, and you have your own shirt, you bring it out to her, and then she will do it at a reasonable cost.
All right. Well, Shakira, thank you so much for stepping in and telling us all about this event. It takes place on Saturday night at the Memorial Park here in Belize City, starting at 6 p.m. Bring out your markers and your art supplies and a clean heart, of course, and go ahead and enjoy in a well-planned event. Aim to be able to inspire positive actions within our community. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about completing those income tax forms. The deadline is looming, and we have representatives of the department here to tell us how to do it and what you can do, and answer frequently asked questions as well. We're going to go ahead and take a break and be back in a few. Welcome back, and at this point in time we are so happy to bring back one of your favorite segments, Fun Facts from Familiar Faces. And I'm glad that we get to do so with one very familiar face to all our Channel 5 viewers. You get to see him every night in our newscast, and he brings you inspirational messages on a daily basis. We're joined by Dr. Bob Roberts. Good morning.
It's good to be here with you.
And I'm interrupting a bit of your work at this time just so we can find out more about you.
That's good too.
All right, I'm glad that you said yes. So it works like this. You'll have 5 minutes. And you're going to pick a question out of the bowl. They're get to know you questions. Hand it to me. I ask you the questions. Once you've answered, we keep the process going. And we get to find out as much as we can about you in 5 minutes.
Well, that's exciting.
Are you up for the challenge?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's get it. Or 5 minutes. And go ahead and pick your first question.
All right. Should I stir them up a little bit?
Whatever you want.
All right.
We'll see what you're looking at. Wow. If you were immortal for a day, what would you do? Immortal.
If I was immortal
For a day,
I would do exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, I love that.
Exactly what I'm doing.
No changes.
No change.
Okay. So we know you're a man who's found your purpose. If you had to work on only one project for the next year, what would it be?
Well, once again, my project is an ongoing project. It's a matter of doing what God's called me to do, and that's to preach and to share the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's what we try to do. We do it in different ways, on television and through books and through revivals. And so it would be a constant work of what we're continuously doing.
Okay. Let's find another question. All right. So, which class in school has proven to be the least useful?
It was the 3rd grade.
Uh-huh.
And you'll never believe why.
Why?
Because I grew up in a small sawmill town, and the school was a big white wooden building, and 1 or 2 grades were together. But when I went to the 1st grade, they said I was smart enough that I should be promoted to the 3rd grade, and that was the biggest mistake that they ever made and that was ever made in my life. Because when I went to the 3rd grade, the war broke out in 41, and we moved to 5 different school communities as we were seeking to get located where my father was working, on military jobs. And so moving from school to school, I had trouble, with just the 1st grade of just really trying to stay up with the others. And finally we located in the 5th move in Beaumont, Texas, in the 3rd grade. And my little red-headed school teacher came to me one day and said, "Bob, would it hurt your feelings if we took you and carried you back to the 2nd grade? Because we talked to your mother and she says it's all right, but you've missed some things in math that you need to pick up. And would you mind doing that?" I said, "Ma'am, I would be so happy to do that."
Instead of struggling.
Yeah. And so now I moved back into the 2nd grade, and I was ahead of the class.
That's very impactful. Go ahead. Let's see if we can get some more out from here. We're running out.
Okay.
What traditions do your family have?
Well, the normal Christmas in America.
Tell me a unique tradition, a practice that you and your family do that's different from most people.
Well, I could not really say that we're that much different. We're very, very traditional in that way. We have the typical Christmas and Thanksgiving. We're all believers, and we do different things. We have 4 children. One's a lawyer, one's a teacher, and the boy's a lawyer, and the teacher and a nurse. My son-in-law, who's with me now, his wife, who's an attorney, his wife is a nurse. So we're a very traditional family. I could not say anything very
community workers.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
All right. I'm hoping I can get some that will tell us some of the things that we barely knew about you. What was the first thing you bought with your own money?
The first thing that I bought with my own money was a 1-shot BB gun. For just to hunt, just to shoot. But it was a very bad experience because I lived in a little small house behind a picket fence, and a little heavy-set lady was walking down the street one day, and I aimed it between 2 pickets, and I hit the target. And what she had to say to me was not very pleasant. It brought my mother out of the house.
Did you get to keep your BB gun after that?
It was put up for a while.
All right, these are the stories we like. We're out of time, but we're going to try to squeeze in, I think, two more. If you had to change your first name, what would you change it to?
Well, I'll just say this. My name is Bobby Jean. And so all through grade school, high school, I was referred to as Bobby. Mm-hmm. And it's a very common name. And finally, when I was able to go away to college, we changed it to Bob. Mm-hmm. And but it's an acceptable name. It was not like Snodgrass, like some of my friends had, or some of those terrible things. So I just say, Lord, I'm just grateful that it's Bob or Bobby.
And Bobby Jean.
but I've enjoyed going by Bob. I enjoy people calling me Brother Bob. Okay. It's very personal.
All right, I'll do one more. It's against all the rules because we're out of time.
And the Lord is a God of grace and generosity.
That's right. How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone who sought to live, to at least live what he tried to preach. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Dr. Bob, you're so passionate about what you do. We appreciate it, of course. And we found out quite a bit about you. So when somebody meets you in Belize today, they'll say, hi, Dr. Bobby Jean. So thank you once again. This was Fun Facts from Familiar Faces. And we'll take a break and be back in a few.